Hey, want a cookie? Oh, I know you just ate, so you're craving something a little sweet. Besides, one cookie isn't gonna kill you. How about half? Just a bite? Bite it. Bite it. Bite it.
Food noise isn't fair, but Mochi Health is. Your affordable GLP-1 source that puts you on a path to successful weight loss by quieting food noise.
Bite it.
Shh. Learn more at joinmochi.com. Mochi members have access to licensed physicians and nutritionists. Results may vary.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Voices for Justice is a podcast that uses adult language and discusses sensitive and potentially triggering topics, including violence, abuse, and murder. This podcast may not be appropriate for younger audiences. All parties are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Some names have been changed or omitted per their request or for safety purposes. Listener discretion is advised. My name is Sarah Turney, and this is Voices for Justice. Today I have a major update in the case of Lisa McBride from Vernon, New Jersey. If you've been listening to this show for a while, you know that there are certain cases that stay with me because the response seemed almost immediate. The family reacted right away. Law enforcement reacted right away. The community reacted right away. Lisa's case was one of those. When 27-year-old Lisa McBride disappeared in June of 1990, she was reported missing within hours. Her family was immediately alarmed. Police quickly believed they were looking at foul play, and a 17-member task force was formed. Her family offered a massive reward and thousands of flyers were printed and distributed. Despite all these amazing efforts, for more than 3 decades, Lisa's case remained unsolved. In my original episode, I asked a question that I think sat at the heart of this case. With what looked like such a strong initial response, with so many resources, so much media coverage, and so much community effort, how was Lisa's case still unsolved? Well, now after 35 years, there may finally be an answer. In April of 2026, authorities announced that a man had been charged in connection with Lisa's murder. The new public findings and hearing coverage give us the clearest picture we've ever had of what investigators believe happened to Lisa McBride, what evidence may have finally moved this case forward, and what questions still remain. This is an update in the case of Lisa McBride. Lisa McBride was 27 years old in 1990. She lived alone in a home on Glen Road in the Highland Lake section of Vernon, New Jersey. And when I first covered her case in October 2024, one thing that really stood out to me was how full her life was. Lisa was independent, social, and active. She was a dancer. She'd performed as a part of a troupe called the New Generation of Dancers when she was younger. She worked as an executive secretary at Lakeland State Bank, but she also taught ballet on the side where her students knew her as Miss Lisa. She was an avid hiker, a competitive shooter, a member of the NRA and the Sierra Club, which I think kind of says a lot about how multifaceted she was. She also loved animals and was known for bringing home stray or abused cats. She had a tight friend group. She had bought her own home and fixed it up with the help of her friends. She wasn't someone people described as lost or reckless or disconnected. She was building a life she seemed genuinely happy in. She also visited her parents, George and Norma McBride, often, and her brother Douglas had recently become a father, and Lisa had become a godmother to his daughter. Her mom's last photo of her was taken just 2 days before Lisa disappeared. She'd gone to her parents' home while they were hosting friends, and when Norma was taking photos, Lisa teased her, basically saying, "You didn't take my picture." So Norma did. She didn't know it would be the last photo she would ever take of her daughter. On Friday, June 22nd, 1990, Lisa went with 3 friends into Manhattan to see a concert at the Beacon Theater. Afterward, they stopped at Big John's Pub in West Milford. Lisa was seen talking with people, having a good time, and catching up with old friends. She also reportedly gave her phone number out to a few people. But she did have work the next morning, so at around 1:30 a.m., she left and drove home alone. At least one neighbor reportedly saw her arrive home around 2 a.m. Then, just a few hours later, at around 7:30, Lisa's coworkers began calling her. She hadn't shown up for work. And that was immediately alarming, because she hadn't missed a single day of work in 3 years. So her coworkers immediately contacted her family, and by around 10 a.m., her brother Douglas went to her house to check on her. Lisa's car was still in the driveway, but when Douglas went inside, something was very wrong. Lisa was gone. Her purse and keys were missing. Her bed had been stripped of its sheets and blankets. A light was on. The couch had been pulled several inches away from the wall, and one of her 2 cats was gone. When police got there and investigated further, they found that the phone line outside her house had been cut. A window screen had also been cut, with slashes large enough for someone to get inside. So police immediately suspected foul play, and a major search and investigation began. A task force was formed with the FBI, state police, local investigators, and the Sussex County Prosecutor's Office. Lisa's family helped a lot too. Her parents created a dedicated tip line. Her father George owned a plastics plant and had his employees help print thousands and thousands of flyers. Soon the reward grew to $100,000 for Lisa's safe return. Investigators spoke to hundreds of people. Lisa's friends from the concert were ruled out quickly. Police also looked into a man who had been pursuing Lisa romantically and had reportedly made her uncomfortable by showing up at her work and leaving flowers on her car. But he was eventually located, and investigators determined he had an alibi for the night Lisa disappeared. So months went by without answers. Then, on October 20th, 1990, just hours before a massive planned search of 30,000 acres was set to begin, Lisa was found. A hunter named Robert Cole was birdwatching in a wooded area near Old Mine Road in Sandyston Township in or near the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area when he discovered human remains. Lisa was found about 30 miles from her home, and her remains were nearly skeletal. Ultimately, she was identified through dental records. Her death was ruled a homicide, but for decades, investigators withheld many details about her cause of death and the evidence recovered. For Lisa's family, the search for her became a search for justice. Her parents, George and Norma, gave interviews over the years. They kept her name in the public eye, and her friends honored her each year by climbing Canoes Mountain and placing a wooden star on a tree near the top, fulfilling something Lisa had always wanted to do. Just bring Christmas cheer to the area. But we know how these things unfortunately go sometimes. The years just kept passing. By 2003, investigators had conducted around 1,500 interviews. In 2004, Sussex County created a cold case unit, and Lisa's case was one of only 6 cases assigned to it. By 2010, her case file reportedly had filled 2 cabinets at the prosecutor's office. Then, George McBride died in 2015, and Norma McBride died in 2018. Neither of them lived to see an arrest. This episode of Voices for Justice is brought to you by Quince. I've been trying to be more intentional about what I wear each day. I'm leaning into pieces that feel effortless, comfortable, and still put together, and Quince has been my go-to. The fabrics feel elevated, the fits are flattering, and everything just works without overthinking it. They use premium materials like 100% European linen, organic cotton, and ultra-soft denim. And the best part? Everything is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. They work directly with ethical factories and cut out the middlemen, so you're paying for quality and craftsmanship, not brand markup. I recently just ordered their tiered linen dress, of course in black. I wanted to pair it with one of my favorite pairs of brown wedges. The problem was, I didn't have a brown purse. So I got that from Quince too. It's one of my favorite outfits. It's easy, effortless, and feels amazing, especially as we're getting a little bit warmer here in Phoenix. Refresh your everyday with luxury you'll actually use. Head to quince.com/justice for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/justice for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/justice.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or dsw.com today and let us surprise you.
When I covered Lisa's case before, the newest update was that in 2022, her body had been exhumed. And at that time, we didn't know much. Authorities said they believed there was an additional investigative step that needed to be taken, and that step required them to exhume Lisa's remains. They also said DNA evidence was taken and sent for testing, and then publicly, the case seemed to go quiet again. This is literally the perfect example of what I always say. If something was happening, they weren't telling the public about it. Because behind the scenes, that forensic work appears to have become central to the charges now filed in 2026. According to the new report and public charging documents summarized in it, evidence from the bed or headboard area in Lisa's home was resubmitted for advanced DNA testing in 2020. Then in 2022, Lisa's remains were exhumed so investigators could obtain a definitive victim DNA sample. And that really does matter, because the item they were testing reportedly contained a mixed DNA profile. Then, in February of 2026, a male DNA profile was authorized for entry into CODIS, and that profile reportedly hit to a man named Robert W. McCaffrey Jr. So let's get into it. Authorities say McCaffrey was living in Sussex County in the summer of 1990 and worked in northern New Jersey. According to the 2026 report, investigators also found no known ties between McCaffrey and Lisa, at least based on the public record available right now. And this is also important because it suggests that this may not have been someone Lisa's family and friends immediately connected to her. Either way, on April 6, 2026, a complaint warrant was sworn charging Robert W. McCaffrey Jr. with first-degree murder, first-degree kidnapping, and second-degree burglary in connection with Lisa's death. On April 10th, he was arrested in Manteo, North Carolina. On April 20th, he appeared in court in Sussex County and pleaded not guilty. On April 27th, Judge Janine Allen ordered he be detained pending trial. A pre-indictment conference was scheduled for May 18th, 2026, but as of the report I reviewed, no public indictment number has been located yet. Again, this is early, but the public court coverage gives us more insight into what prosecutors believe ties him to Lisa's case. In the detention hearing, prosecutors argued that a washcloth found on the headboard contained DNA from both Lisa and McCaffrey.
And what it's intended to be used for.
And ultimately, through dental records, those skeletal remains are identified as Lisa McBride. There was a washcloth on the headboard of her bed. Well, unfortunately, we were able to get an order from the surrogate to exhume Lisa's remains to get enough of a sample to confirm her DNA, and it got an immediate match, an immediate hit. It went back to the defendant, Robert W. McCaffrey Jr.
That detail is huge because it potentially connects him to evidence found inside Lisa's home from an area that's always been central to this investigation. Remember, when Lisa's family and police found her house disturbed, her bed had been completely stripped of the sheets and blankets. For decades, we knew investigators believed that the state of the home mattered, but they'd kept a lot of details private. Now we know that at least one item from the bed or headboard area was apparently preserved and retested decades later. Prosecutors also reportedly pointed to the signs of forced entry at Lisa's home again, that cut phone line and the cut window screen. And then there's another piece of evidence that, if true, is extremely significant. According to the new case report, investigators interviewed a witness in 2019 referred to publicly as R.I. And that witness reportedly told investigators that McCaffrey confessed in 1995 that he killed Lisa because she would not go out with him. That is the allegation, but according to prosecutors, that witness is part of the evidence against him. There are also defense arguments already emerging. The defense has reportedly argued that DNA on a portable item like a washcloth does not necessarily prove when or how the DNA got there. They also appear to be challenging parts of the medical evidence, including issues around an amended medical examiner report. And that's why this case isn't over just yet. We all know that an arrest is not the same thing as a conviction. But after 35 years, investigators are saying they have enough evidence to charge someone in Lisa's murder. And that alone is an enormous development. This episode of Voices for Justice is sponsored by Chewy. If you have pets, you probably know about Chewy, and you also know that when they say that they have everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy, they're not messing around. To keep them happy, Chewy has over 100,000 products from all the brands my pets love at prices I love. To keep them healthy, Chewy offers pet prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth vet visits, and they're even rolling out vet clinics across the country. I've been shopping with them for a very long time. And in addition to the auto ship feature that gets the dog's food to them every single month, I also love to experiment with different treats. But I'm a bit picky. For me, it has to be high quality with simple ingredients. I recently picked up treats from Shepherd Boy Farms that are 100% just chicken breast. Popcorn and Heber are already obsessed. Chewy has everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy. And right now, you can save $20 on your first order and get free shipping by going to chewpanions.chewy.com/SarahETurney. That's chewpanions.chewy.com/SarahETurney to save $20 on your first order with free shipping. chewpanions.chewy.com/SarahETurney. Minimum purchase required. New customers only. Terms and conditions apply. See site for complete details.
What they did to your family, you're lucky to make it out alive.
Streaming on Peacock.
These men are going to come after me. Taking them out is my only chance.
Put a bullet in her head.
From the co-creator of Ozark.
Looks like a family was running drugs.
Execution-style killing, it's rare for the Keys. And it leads on who they might have been running for.
The cartel killed my family. I'm gonna kill them. All of them.
MIA. Streaming now. Only on Peacock.
It is extremely worth noting that there's another case connected to Robert McCaffrey's public history that I think deserves more than a passing mention. That's the case of his wife, Gail McCaffrey. And I do want to be very careful here. Gail's case does not prove what happened to Lisa McBride. It does not prove that Robert McCaffrey killed Lisa, but it is legally relevant right now, because prosecutors brought up his obstruction conviction from Gail's case during the detention arguments in Lisa's case. And the judge cited that conviction when ordering him detained pending trial. But of course, Gail's not just a footnote in Lisa's case. She's not just a legal argument. She's another missing woman whose loved ones have been waiting for answers. So let's take a moment to talk about Gail's case. Gail McCaffrey disappeared from Charleston County, South Carolina in 2012. At the time, she was married to Robert McCaffrey. Years later, in 2018, the Charleston County Sheriff's Office arrested him in connection with Gail's disappearance. But that murder charge didn't ultimately move forward, because a grand jury no-billed the case. That basically means that at that point, the grand jury did not return an indictment on the murder charge. However, he was convicted of obstruction of justice in connection with that investigation. According to the new Lisa McBride case report, the South Carolina Court of Appeals affirmed that obstruction of justice conviction in 2021. He'd been sentenced to 10 years. The appellate opinion reportedly cited evidence that he lied about his whereabouts, encouraged a woman he was involved with to lie, and created or authored what was described as a supposed farewell letter from Gail. And I really just want to pause here because that detail is haunting. A missing persons case is already difficult enough. Families are already trying to figure out what happened, whether their loved one left, whether something happened to them, whether they're alive somewhere, whether they're being hurt, and whether they can be found. And then, according to the court record summarized in the report, there was allegedly a fake or supposed farewell letter from Gail. We know how that kind of thing can completely shift how people perceive a disappearance. It can create doubt, it can waste time. It can make people question whether someone was really in danger or whether they chose to leave. And in Gail's case, Robert McCaffrey was convicted of obstruction, not murder. But a court did uphold his obstruction conviction. And that conviction is now a part of the public record prosecutors pointed to in Lisa's case. So that's where the two cases intersect legally. At McCaffrey's detention hearing in New Jersey, prosecutors argued that his prior obstruction conviction showed he could pose a risk of obstruction in the Lisa McBride case if released. According to the report, Judge Janine Allen cited that obstruction history when ordering him held pending trial. And I think that distinction really matters. The prosecution was not saying he was accused in Gail's case, therefore he killed Lisa. That's not how this works. What they were arguing was more specific, that his prior obstruction conviction was relevant to whether he could be trusted to not interfere with the current case. But that legal caution should not erase the person at the center of the case. Gail McCaffrey is still missing. And now, because Robert McCaffrey has been charged in Lisa McBride's murder, people are understandably looking back at Gail's case with new attention. That doesn't mean we get to collapse the two cases into one story, though. Lisa and Gail were two very different women, in two different states, decades apart, with two different investigations and two different legal records. Lisa McBride disappeared from Vernon, New Jersey in 1990. Her remains were found months later in Sandyston Township. In 2026, Robert McCaffrey was charged with murder, kidnapping, and burglary in Lisa's case, and has pleaded not guilty. Gail McCaffrey disappeared from South Carolina in 2012. Robert McCaffrey was arrested in connection with her disappearance in 2018. The murder charge was no-billed by a grand jury, and he was later convicted of obstruction of justice. Those are the facts we can responsibly say right now. But emotionally, I think it's really hard not to sit with the weight of that. We have two women, one found after months, one still missing, two families left waiting for answers. And now, one man's name is appearing in both public records. It obviously raises serious questions about Robert McCaffrey's history, his credibility, and why a New Jersey judge ultimately decided he should remain detained while the Lisa McBride case moves forward. I get that I'm kind of harping on this, but you guys know how I feel about these things. Gail herself deserves to be remembered as more than just a prior case, more than a court record, and more than a piece of another prosecution. She deserves answers too. So with that context, we come back to Lisa. Because as much as Gail's case is relevant, Lisa's case still has to stand on its own evidence. And according to prosecutors, that evidence includes DNA allegedly found on an item from Lisa's bed or headboard area, signs of forced entry at her home, and this witness who reportedly said that McCaffrey confessed years later. We also have confirmation that he lived in Sussex County in the summer of 1990. That is the case prosecutors are now trying to move forward. And that is the case a court will have to decide. So here is what we can say right now. Robert W. McCaffrey Jr. has been charged in Lisa McBride's murder. He has pleaded not guilty. The defense is already challenging the strength and interpretation of the evidence I mentioned. And as of right now, there are still major unanswered questions. We don't have the full autopsy report. We don't have the full forensic anthropology report. We don't have the DNA lab packet. We don't have the complete chain of custody for the item tested. We don't know exactly how the DNA mixture was interpreted. We don't know what the witness RI said in full, how that statement was documented, or what corroboration exists. And there are discrepancies in public reporting about how and when McCaffrey's DNA entered CODIS. Those questions matter, not because they mean that the case is strong or weak. We just don't know yet. They matter because this case is now moving from the realm of a cold case mystery into the realm of a criminal prosecution, and that means the standard changes. It's no longer just about what investigators believe. It's about what prosecutors can prove.
So good, so good, so good.
Everything you want for summer is at Nordstrom Rack stores now, and up to 60% off. Stock up and save on the brands you love like Vince, Sam Edelman, Frame, and Free People. Join the Nordy Club to unlock exclusive discounts, shop new arrivals first, and more. Plus, buy online and pick up at your favorite Rack store for free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you Rack.
I can't help but keep thinking about Lisa's parents. George and Norma fought for answers for decades. They kept her case alive when it would have been so easy for the public to move on. They gave interviews, they handed out flyers, they spoke with investigators. They allowed themselves to relive the worst thing that ever happened to them because they wanted someone to be held accountable for what happened to their daughter. And they both died before this arrest. That is devastating. But according to the 2026 update report, after the arrest, Lisa's brother Doug released a family statement thanking the agencies involved and asking anyone with information to still come forward. And that is really important, because even with an arrest, even with charges, even with DNA, this case may still need people to talk. If you knew Lisa McBride in 1990, if you knew Robert McCaffrey in 1990, if you saw something, heard something, were told something, or even have the smallest piece of information that may help investigators understand what happened, this is the time to come forward. There are also still items connected to Lisa that have never been recovered. In the original episode, I talked about Lisa's missing purse and keychain. Her purse was described as a medium-sized black oval purse, but the keychain on it was a lot more unique. It was a brass nameplate engraved with her nickname, Weesa. W-E-E-S-A. For years, I think a lot of us wondered if that keychain could be the kind of thing that survived. Something tucked away, thrown into a drawer. Maybe it would be found in an attic, a box, a thrift store, a storage unit, or a home cleanout. Now, after this arrest, those missing items may be even more important. According to the new report, investigators in North Carolina searched for items that may have belonged to Lisa, including her purse, license, and keys, though the public reporting did not show that any of those items were recovered. So the call to action is different now, but it is still a call to action. Lisa McBride was 27 years old when she disappeared from her home in Vernon, New Jersey on June 23, 1990. Her remains were found on October 20th, 1990 in Sandyston Township. In April of 2026, Robert W. McCaffrey Jr. was charged with murder, kidnapping, and burglary in connection with her case. He has pleaded not guilty, and the case is pending. Even though the case finally has an arrest, please keep sharing Lisa's name, because this is far from over. And for Lisa's family, justice is something they've waited for since 1990. Lisa McBride wasn't just a cold case. She wasn't just a file that filled 2 cabinets. She was a daughter, a sister, an aunt, a godmother, a dancer, a teacher, a friend, and the kind of person who brought home stray cats and made silly faces in photos. For more than 3 decades, people asked what happened to Lisa McBride. And now, we may be closer than ever to finding out. As a reminder, Lisa McBride was 27 years old when she went missing from Vernon, New Jersey on Saturday, June 23, 1990. Investigators believe she was likely killed shortly after. She was white with brown hair and brown eyes, was 5'7" and weighed approximately 135 pounds. She was last seen wearing blue jeans and a white shirt with a shoelace-type black tie in the back. Anyone with information is asked to call the Sussex County Prosecutor's Office at 973-383-1570. Marjorie Gail McCaffrey was 36 years old when she disappeared from Charleston, South Carolina. She was last seen at her home at 2829 Limestone Boulevard in the West Ashley neighborhood on March 17, 2012. Detectives are investigating her disappearance as a homicide. Gail was white with brown hair and blue eyes, about 5'2" and weighed approximately 155 pounds. She has never been found. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Charleston County Sheriff's Office at 843-554-2241. But as always, thank you, I love you, and I'll talk to you next time. Voices for Justice is hosted and produced by me, Sarah Turney, and is a Voices for Justice media original. If you love what we do here, please don't forget to follow, rate, and review the show in your podcast player. It's an easy and free way to help us and help more people find these cases in need of justice. Welcome to the Secret After Show. The studio door is open and our emotional support puppies, Popcorn and Heber, are in the room. Let's go right into the case. This feels like one giant segment of hope. And you guys know that I don't cover solved cases, but I do think that covering the updates on unsolved cases is just an important reminder that this is exactly why we do what we do. Why we keep pushing for these cases to get more attention and more resources. Of course, I think we're going to learn a lot more in time, and I'm sure I'll be back with another update, but so many of you reached out about Lisa's case that I really just wanted to jump on it and give you what we know. And my goodness, I think this one, I hope this one works out for her family. I think since going through a murder trial for a loved one myself, my heart breaks when I see that a case is going to trial. Like, it's this bittersweet thing, right? It's good, obviously, that something is happening and the case is moving forward, but I understand the emotions that come with that. It's like slicing that wound right back open. It really is, in a way that I don't think doing interviews, creating a podcast, TikToks, whatever, really does. And you guys know that in the past, when a case would go to trial, I would just kind of not touch it. For me, it was like a respect thing. It was like, okay, it's going to trial, let it unfold. But then I went through my sister's trial. And I don't know if I've ever talked about this. I've been pretty quiet on the trial front. It's all coming in the new season, but I was devastated when my sister's trial didn't get more coverage, right? And not just because I wanted her to be in the media, which I did. I want everybody to know Alyssa's name. I really do. I think that her legacy is so important. But it was because I felt like there was no pressure on the prosecutors. And I get it. I stopped making content out of the best interest of the case. My victim's rights, I want to say defense attorney, that is not what he is. My victim's rights attorney said I was public enemy number one. That was confirmed by the prosecution. They both said the defense is going to go after you as hard as possible. It's in the best interest of the case to not cover it any further. I had to win in court too, because my dad tried to legally stop me from making all content, and I did win. I had the legal ability to keep creating content about Alyssa's case, but I took the advice of the prosecutors and my victim's rights attorney and said, okay, I in no way want to jeopardize my sister's case. And I get it. I think a lot of people stop talking about Alyssa's case out of respect for me, and I appreciate that so much. I really do. But when it all started unfolding and there was so little coverage, all I could think was, I think I messed up. I think I should have pushed for more media coverage to keep the pressure on the prosecutors. And it's something that haunts me. If you guys listen to my new podcast, The Final Hours with Crime with Court, we do these asides where we insert our opinion about certain things or our experience. I talk a lot about the family member experience in true crime. And it's one of those what ifs that I talk about. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that I know deep in my soul through experience that sticks with you. That what if? What if I had just done it this way? It just haunts me. So, as it pertains to Lisa's case in this episode, that's one reason why I wanted to keep pushing, because my mindset's changed. Like, I think that's one of the beautiful things about covering true crime is seeing creators evolve, right? Including myself. You know, I would have never touched a case that went to court a few years ago, but now I think I better understand the importance of keeping that public pressure on. So I hope all that rambling made sense. As far as media discrepancies, nothing really. I had covered this case before. I had some really solid research, and all the recent reporting is like fairly the same. They're all reporting on just like a few different things happening in the courts, so that was easy enough. Let's go right on to our heroes of this episode. Number one, Lisa's family. My gosh. If you guys haven't listened to the original episode, again from October 2024, and you want to learn more, definitely go listen to it. It's a short case, you know what I mean? Or a short episode, I should say. Not a ton of information out there about Lisa, which is one reason I picked it. But that family, her parents did so much. It kind of, her dad George's plastic plant, where he like stops everything and has everybody print flyers. It really reminds me of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, where Veruca's dad makes all of his employees start opening up the chocolate bars, right? It's for very different reasons. But for some reason, when I think about George doing that, that's what I imagine is this like huge factory, and now everybody's printing flyers and helping try to find his missing daughter. And there's something about that is so beautiful. I mean, it really is to have a family care so much. Is so moving and so incredible, and I just wish they could have been here to see this arrest. But like I said, her brother Doug, is still around, and I send him nothing but love. The other hero of the episode is whatever law enforcement members kept and retained that evidence for so long, the washcloth, it seems, right? And we're still learning about all this evidence. But, like, you don't always see that. I mean, how many times, you guys, have I covered a case where it was like, yeah, all that evidence, blah, 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 a few decades later, it's gone, it wasn't stored properly, it's been degraded, blah, 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 blah. So, heroes of our episode for them retaining that evidence in a way that was usable decades later. That is huge. That is amazing. It seems pretty rare. So, shout out to them. That is incredible. And like I said at the top, this is normally where I would say, okay, let's go into this our segment of hope. But I feel like this whole thing is a segment of hope, not only for Lisa's case, but also for Gail's case now, getting this renewed attention. I think there's so much hope for answers, right? I never like to say closure or justice because I feel like that means different things to different people. But I do think that this will result in more answers. So that's why this entire episode makes our segment of hope. But as always, thank you, I love you, and I'll talk to you next time.